Good morning. Hi. We're going to start. So I am Michael Remaley. I run the communications and public policy work here at Philanthropy, New York. There's still a bunch of name tags up front, but I thought we should get started because we have a tightly packed agenda. So I'd like to really encourage those of you who are there's empty seats up here, so if you would like to join us at the table, that would be great. So I'm just going to start by give you a little bit of history. For those of you who are new to Public Policy Communicators NYC group, a little history of the group, which is that it started out as a very informal group of people at nonprofits and foundations who are communications professionals who had some common questions and got together for lunch to talk about those issues, and it was really productive, but it was just an informal sharing of ideas about what they were experiencing and who was experiencing the same thing. And we really kept the spirit of that over the years. We get special speakers in who really know an issue really well, but it's always based on an idea of sharing of people who have common issues and common practices and common challenges. So I really hope that this will be a fully participatory discussion throughout. You can, we have wonderful speakers who will present some ideas, but you should feel free to speak up and ask questions at any point. And in that spirit, I'd like to get just a temperature of the room and see who's in the room. And so if everyone could just say who they are and what organization they work for. And I would actually like to do a little icebreakery thing by saying, asking you to just name a video or video idea that you've seen that had some sort of impact on you, that left an impression on you. I guess I should start. I'm Michael Remaley from Philanthropy, New York, and I really like those explainer videos where they draw out. I can't forget the science guys that just doing the chalkboard. I can't think of one in particular, but I love those little science guys, explainer guys. Hi. Oh. Hold up, sorry, one thing. So these are not amplifying, as you can tell. This is just, we are live streaming this out to the entire communications network audience across the nation. So this is to pick up the sound in the room, not to amplify in the room. So please use it.
Glad you straightened that out. Diana Barrett, I run the Fledgling Fund, and we have traditionally been funding documentaries, long-form documentaries, and a little bit of short form, but now we're getting much more into interactive and short form and multi-platform. What sticks in my mind, I guess, is the Whiteness Project or the Hollow, or something that really makes you look at visual images in a very different way.
Good morning. My name is Lindsay Smith. I work for the Woodrow Wilson National Fellowship Foundation. I work specifically with our teaching fellowship, which is to get individuals with degrees in STEMs to get their master's degree in education to become high-need teachers in a rural or urban environment. So I do online recruitment for that. A video that sticks out to me is they were kind of all the rage a few years ago, those Google search videos where you could populate it, and it gave a lot of foundations or smaller groups the ability to kind of make their own video. If you haven't seen them, it would come up like you were searching in a Google search bar, and then it would show you their message through Google searches. So it was pretty neat. Hi, I'm Frances Micklow. I'm also from the Woodrow Wilson National Fellowship Foundation, and I work as a communications associate for the foundation as a whole. And prior to that, I was actually a multimedia journalist at a newspaper in New Jersey. So I tend to lean more towards short and long form documentary and journalism, storytelling kind of pieces. Recently, or a couple years ago, at a conference, I saw a really great piece out of Memphis that one of the keynote speakers did, and it was kind of a nice hybrid between really beautiful visuals and kind of alternative poetry and storytelling that made for a nice nice little documentary.
My name's Rebecca Burton, and I'm an Associate Program Officer at the Tiffany & Company Foundation. And like I said, I work mostly in programs, but also focus on communications, both internal and external, about what the foundation does. And I would say I really like the New York Times short videos that accompany their articles.
Good morning. My name is Verushka Capellan, and I work for the United Nations for the Umoja project, which is an enterprise resource planning project. Pretty much we're taking outdated administrative systems at the UN and converting them into one. And so in my office, we are rolling out the communication strategy. And so we're really looking forward to really capture ideas in terms of how we can take technology and create the human component of it. And I do enjoy those sort of videos that really take the short videos that really take the nature of us, our feelings, and really translate them so that we can relate and connect with audiences.
Good morning. I'm Bruce Trachtenberg. I oversee a website that's focused on social change communications. It's called Frank. It's part of a project that started at the University of Florida. Yeah, a little self-serving, but a video project that I have some favor with was when I was with the Communications Network, an organization I ran for 8 years before moving to Frank. We did an experiment to see if you gave people 90 seconds to record a video saying something of compelling importance. Could they do it? Can they deliver a message? Surprising how much you can get done in 90 seconds, which is something to keep in mind.
Hi, I'm Julie Monaharan. I work in communications at the Simons Foundation. We fund a pretty broad range of basic math and science research. A video that I watched recently that I found really compelling was about the history of microbes, and it was made entirely out of paper cutouts. And so it was really accessible and engaging and, taught me something. So it was great.
Hi, excuse me. I'm Jeff Leatherwood. I work in communications at the Ford Foundation. I went down a rabbit hole recently where I started watching these TED Ed videos, and you just start watching one after another, and they're fascinating sort of recreations, animations based around speeches that have happened, and I think that's a really compelling way to repackage existing content.
My name is Joe Weed. I'm with the National Committee on U.S.-China Relations. As far as videos that have captured my attention lately, they're not work-related. It's the Khan Academy mathematics teaching videos because I have a young son who's a math whiz. So.
I'm Kenny Polyak. I do communications at the New York Foundation. I also showed up late, so I don't know what the prompt is.
Just video, short video that has made an impression on you.
Oh man. Okay. This is embarrassing, and I'll open up. But I loved it. So there's YouTube starts to run ads, and there was an ad for Beck's beer, and they did this series, I guess, where they basically featured interesting people, somehow related it to beer, but that's beyond the point. So here they covered a guy, I forget his name actually, but he's an urban farmer in Los Angeles, and it was the first advertisement I'd ever watched fully, and you can find it on YouTube. If you're curious, you can ask me.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Tiffany Langston. I'm the multimedia manager here at Philanthropy, New York. A short video. So, okay, this is going to tie a lot of both. There was a short video, and I know it doesn't really sort of apply, but that Coca-Cola did in Romania about a social media campaign that they did where they asked people to get together for dinner and share a Coke, and then they would, and they actually had a famous chef in Romania that would go around to first of all they would tweet these tweets live on the air as they're coming in during sporting events and stuff, and then they would have a famous chef there who would go to those houses and cook dinner for those people that they're sharing a Coke with, and they did make like a 90-second video about it, and I got the entire campaign in 90 seconds, which I thought was really impressive. It was much more clear than what I just said, sorry.
Wesley Weisberg with the Weisberg Foundation, a family foundation in Washington, D.C. I feel I'm blanking on every YouTube that my husband sends me that I watch, 5 a day. But I'm thinking about a film that, I don't know if it counts as a short video, but it was short, and it was, for funders to see. It was about college access through CARA, and just that, that sense of watching the power film to take you somewhere that you aren't, and seeing these kids who, at schools without a lot of resources, and just getting that kind of access as a viewer to people. So a college access film through CARA still in funding.
Morning, I'm Sarah Williams. I'm a consultant to a bunch of different foundations. I'm thinking of a video produced by Stone Soup Films, which is a nonprofit in DC that pairs volunteer filmmakers with small nonprofit organizations that don't have communications budgets. And they did one on a visiting program for dads who are incarcerated and kids visiting their dads. And similar to what Wesley said, I felt like I got to see something that not everybody gets to see through the video footage. It's very hard to get that kind of access, but they were able to do it.
You're just saying our name, our organization, and a video that made an impression on you.
Good morning. My name is Marvin Ford. I'm from the Ford Foundation. I'm an analyst. Well, I think the one that I can think of is Defret. It's a documentary about a girl who was captured and she was raped. And so there was a story about how she was treated by the court system, I think, in Ethiopia. So I think that made an interesting impact on me.
Want to play?
Sure. Hi, I'm MacKenzie Fegan. Oh, okay. I'm the multimedia producer at the Ford Foundation. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I have a lot of complicated feelings about Vice, but their video content is often very good, and the level of access they get in certain cases is really, it's rivals to direct watch in some cases. And the series they did recently about ISIL, I thought was really interesting.
Hi, I'm Jessie Graham, Senior Multimedia Producer at Human Rights Watch. I could talk about a lot of New York Times videos, Vice videos, or videos that MacKenzie's made. But, actually it was a classic Russian animated piece that I saw for the first time recently. Some of you may have seen it. It's called Hedgehog in the Fog. If you're a film buff, you may, maybe, I don't know. It's, and I can't say it in Russian. My partner's Russian, and he showed it to me. And it's just an absolutely beautiful, fun, charming stop motion piece about a hedgehog that's lost in the fog and wants to get to his friend the bear to drink from the samovar and eat something with raspberry jam, and he gets lost and he tries to poke his way out of the fog. But it's just beautiful, and it's about 12 minutes. So I don't know. I used to be a foreign correspondent. I work with really sort of very raw material like what you're talking about. But sometimes it's really a pleasure to see a totally different kind of storytelling that I would never think of, and that it brings you into a whole new world. So.
Hi, I'm Stacy Greenbaum. I'm the communications director at the Simons Foundation. And yeah, so I guess a video that I love and watch over and over again is it's by the RSA Society in England. It's the Royal Society of something, and they animate speeches with just, so it's high speed. An artist depicts things on a whiteboard with a black marker, and this one video that I love is by this guy Ian McGilchrist, who's a famous psychiatrist, and he's discussing the right versus the left brain and how there really is this notion that they're divided is not accurate at all. And he's just so verbally eloquent, and then they speed along these wonderful drawings, and I just love it. So that's my favorite thing.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zach. I'm from the Thomas J. Watson Foundation, where I work on professional and personal development of young people. I'm also the executive producer at New York Picture Company, which just had its first viral video, which was super exciting. My favorite video, I guess in the context of what we're talking about, is from Save the Children UK. I don't know if you saw that. It was pretty popular. It's a second-a-day video that shows this fictionalized version of what would happen in the UK if what was going on in Syria. And it got 42 million views and over 250,000 subscribers for Save the Children. So awesome video. It will ruin your day if you watch it. I still highly recommend it. It's called Second a Day Syria, I think. I have it up on my...
Yeah, we could show a bit of it.
Most Shocking Second a Day Video is the name of it.
Hi, I'm Katie Linick. I'm from the Institute for Children Poverty and Homelessness. So we study the impact of poverty on children. And I am also a huge fan of the RSA videos and the animation and everything like that, because I find it fascinating how they can present so much information and make it so visually appealing at the same time, which is always a struggle for us because we're very research-based. So presenting the information in a way that keeps watchers engaged is very difficult.
I'm Matthias Black. I'm an editor at the Ford Foundation. And I'd say recently some videos I've been rewatching are the animated series by StoryCorps. I love the podcasts. They're great if you want to get all teary-eyed. And the animated series are fantastic. In particular, there was one with a mother talking to her son who has Asperger's, I think it is, and talking about their relationship. And it gets you right here.
Hi, I'm Lauren Kahn. I'm from the Credit Suisse Americas Foundation. And I would say a video that impacted me, I think it's quite old now, but it's from The Truth. It's through Purpose. They do a lot of really great campaigning videos, but this one in particular used infographics, and it told a story about poverty, how we are still, by helping countries that are in need, we're sort of still kind of supporting it, and it really connected the whole cycle of how poverty just continues.
Hi, I'm Deb Lorber. I work at the Commonwealth Fund, which focuses on healthcare policy. And a video I've seen recently, I guess in the last 6 months, that I really liked was one that the Ford Foundation did, the one with Darren Walker dancing through the offices. I thought that was fantastic. So.
Hi, I'm Bob DeLuna from the United Hospital Fund. And I'm tempted to mention every dog trick video that friends have posted on Facebook, but no. Actually, recently I saw a series of New England Journal of Medicine videos that they have that accompany some of their recent articles. It takes a long time to produce, but they impressed me so much I actually called up the New England Journal of Medicine to talk to the videographers and to find out about what their process was in creating these animated videos.
Morning. My name is Conrad Kocek. I work as a designer in the Office of Communications at the Ford Foundation. One video, a couple videos that I saw recently also take place on the New York Times website. And it kind of focuses on the city of New York, these short little documentaries about how we get our water supply, or there's one about the tale of two bridges that focused on the rebuilding of the Brooklyn Bridge and also the tearing down of the Tappan Zee Bridge. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's actually a videographer who's worked with a lot of nonprofits shot them, and Bob Sacha, I think. Yeah, and it's a production company that, yeah, they're really good.
Hi, I'm Eric Felipe Barkin. I'm from the Ford Foundation, and I guess recently I've been kind of revisiting one of my favorite filmmakers, Roy Andersson, who's from Sweden. He makes a lot of commercials, but he made this very arresting, kind of short, maybe like 30-second piece. It was for an AIDS advocacy group, and it's very, very quiet. It's just kind of a couple that's mad at each other, and it doesn't really reveal the turn until the end. And the thing about all of his videos is that they all, for me, have had an impact beyond the initial watching, which I think is rare even in the case of a lot of very powerful videos, because they're so small and subtle that you end up considering them for a really long time.
I'm Christina Spellman. I'm with the Mayday Fund, and I am going to do an unabashed plug for TED Ed because we had a neuroscientist do one with cartoons explaining pain, and it's got 500,000 hits. And to get people to explain something like pain with a cartoon is pretty good.
So thank you, everyone, for sharing. I think the speakers actually got a lot out of hearing that was good context. And some interesting commonalities, too. So I should have mentioned that a video that has made a great impact on me recently is Nicki Minaj's Anaconda. I'm really into that right now, but that's a whole other So
It is compelling.
It is compelling. It is impactful. Our speakers. Before I get to our speakers, I just want to say that this is a replay sort of a communications network conference program that was really successful and really compelling to me. And I said to MacKenzie and Jessie afterwards, I was like, when did we do that in New York? And so they are doing that, and I'm very excited about it. So a shout out to all the people at Communications Network who are out there, and thank you to Communications Network for doing this. So I'm going to hand it over to you guys. You have their bios, but MacKenzie is a Brooklyn-based multimedia producer, and she's at the Ford Foundation now, but she's leaving us at the end of the month to go out to San Francisco, so I'm glad I got you before you went. Jessie Graham is a senior media producer at the Human Rights Watch, and Human Rights Watch has done a couple of things here for PPC, and we've had Emma. I'm like, Emily. It's like, I know it's not Emily. Emma Daly here talking about a similar topic about how using nonprofits and foundations can function as kind of news producers, and that was really great. So I'm very excited to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. I've been told that I need to sit closer to the mic, so if I still need to do that, hopefully someone will let me know.
Exactly.
Great. Well, thank you again, everyone, for coming. It'd be great if maybe there was a way for everyone to share a link to the video they mentioned. I don't know if there's.
To see them. That was
a lot of great
Let
fodder.
me think about that over the course of the next hour, and we'll see how we can solicit that.
So it's nice that we have this kind of intimate group. So I think that if you have questions during our presentation, just ask them as they come up instead of holding until the end. Great. So I guess, I'll start off by saying that if we were doing this presentation just a few years ago, we would have to start by making the case for video and multimedia and explaining how it could be part of your communication strategy. But I think we're all on the same page here that it is an important and effective part of any communications strategy. So we'll be giving some tips from our perspectives from the nonprofit and foundation world about how to make effective and engaging video content. Yeah, sure. I guess I'll talk a little bit first about how we use video at the Ford Foundation, just broadly. We use it for a few different reasons. One is to raise the profile of our grantees. Another is to communicate sometimes opaque funding strategies. And the third is just sort of institutional videos like the Darren Dancing video, which we'll show a little bit later, or anytime we might need to communicate on an institutional level.
And I was brought in actually as a podcast or audio producer 6 years ago, and then quickly realized that we needed to be putting out video primarily. We still do a little bit of audio. I worked in public radio before, so we'll do it once in a while, but really video, YouTube is a way for us to reach an audience that's built in and that grows all the time. So, and we're also getting, Human Rights Watch, our greatest strength is our researchers all over the world, and so we're getting them to integrate video gathering into their documentation of human rights abuses. So we have this ready-made network, almost like foreign correspondents, foreign, let's say, well, some are domestic, human rights researchers who are gathering this material. We also pair them up with journalists, videographers in the field, and have them collaborate with them to bring back great content. So that's what I'm doing with a small team. Really trying to integrate video into the work.
So the first thing that we wanted to talk about is audience. We're going to show clips from 2 videos that we have done, and it's on the same topic, child marriage. but they're very different because they had different audiences and different objectives. So we'll start with this clip from Jessie.
Yeah, and this is, we have a great Yemen researcher, and she knew that as Yemen was going through this political transition, there's an opportunity for her to really address some women's rights issues. We're doing an FGM video right now, actually, but this was the first one. And she wanted to show this to lawmakers. She wanted to hit them directly with all the voices that were sort of bubbling up on the ground, women and girls who want to change this. So there was an opportunity that she wanted to get at. So let's see a little bit of it. We'll just, yeah. Oops. Yeah, just click. No, you just have to click on the, if you bring the mouse, yep, just click right on it. There you go. So that was really rare for us to hear directly from someone who's sort of perpetuating a human rights abuse, to say this is, and I think actually that's what we're trying to get more and more, is to actually hear, especially with things like this, where we're talking about something where perhaps, you know, it's a interpretation of a religious edict, or it's a you know, something that's a tradition, and it's a legal issue primarily, but obviously the government has to address it, you know, it has to address it in the family as well, right? It has to, so it's just really rare for us to hear that, and we're looking for that more and more, to hear directly from someone, why are you doing what you're doing? And if they change their mind, you know, to talk about that, what changed your mind? Why are you not doing this anymore? So this actually did have an impact. It's not, the Yemen has not, they have not passed legislation yet that has been in the works for a while, but we did get several lawmakers kind of to watch this, and there is more movement on this issue, so it's ongoing.
So our child marriage piece takes place in India instead of Yemen, and we were asked to produce a 2-minute sort of case study report for CGI. And so you'll see that it's very different. It's glossier, it's not as journalistic and hard-hitting, more of a showpiece, I guess. Is there a way to, yeah, at all?
We don't have, in our new things, we will have better control of the lights. It's either like totally off and like it takes a while to come back on, or
we can all deal.
And it seems like the sync is a little bit off for some reason in the PowerPoint. I'm not really sure. There's some delay, so sorry about that. We are very aware of sync issues. There was some blurring, yeah. The girl, we concealed her identity. You can see her father, so it's easy to identify her. And we did do an Arabic version, all Arabic version of this as well, so it was for a Yemeni audience. But yeah, we take, you know, with kids, we err on the side of, yeah.
मैं जब छोटी सी थी तब से मेरा सपना था कि मैं पढ़ लिख के कुछ बनूं, कुछ करूं। मैं चाहती हूँ आगे टीचर बनूं।
আমরা বেশিরভাগ মেয়েরা 15 এবং 16 বছর বয়সের ছিল, তারা পরিবার বর্ণনা করছে, কি বলছে, সেই মেয়েটা হচ্ছে আমার বোঝা, মেয়ে তো কোনো ইনকাম করবে না, তার কোনো ইনকাম সোর্স নেই, তার পড়াশোনা করে কি হবে, সে অল্প একটু পড়াশোনা করলেই তার চলবে।
तो मैं क्लास 10 में थी जब मेरे पेरेंट्स चाहते थे कि अब शादी करा दी जाए। मैं बच्ची उस समय मैं छोटी थी, तो मतलब शिक्षा नहीं है कि किस तरह के हम अपने आप को संभालें, एंड तो मैं उस बच्चे को कैसे संभालती हूँ, उस परिवार को कैसे संभालती हूँ।
Countless stories not unique. Around the world, over 14 million girls under the age of 18 are married every
Sorry about that sync issue, guys. Yeah, so for this, we had 2 minutes to not only tell the story of the child marriage crisis, but talk about what the Ford Foundation was doing to address that issue. And so, again, shorter, kind of glossier, higher production values. Thank you. And so whenever we start making video content, we start with what's the objective and what's the audience. And had we been given a different audience, you know, one more similar to Jessie's, I think it would have gone a very different direction. So let your audience kind of dictate what form your video is going to take.
I think there's great access in this video. I mean, I think just you can get a sense. I like seeing the girl working, and and I don't think ours is sort of quick and dirty in a way. Like we got into these places and like we're like it was very hard for us to like really get access to a family and to a girl who'd been forced into marriage, and it was really difficult to communicate. And yeah, it's very, very difficult to report in Yemen. Sometimes I'm kind of surprised that we're able to do it.
Yeah, and that's something we never would have been able to get access to.
Right, but your access is lovely actually, because you do have this great program on the back. And I like hearing men's voices also in these pieces that are about women's rights issues. So.
This is probably going to sound dreadfully obtuse, but I didn't really see any difference in those videos in terms of glossiness or production value or any. I didn't see it. What was different?
Well, we don't use music for our news videos, like for our stuff that's going out. We have a whole other like little production unit that does stuff that's a little bit more like what MacKenzie does. That's for donors. That's for fundraising, and it's more. Music actually is a big part of what makes something glossier, what kind of manages emotions a little bit differently. So that's one thing. I don't know. What else?
Okay.
As you go through the videos, I think that a lot of people will be interested also in not just kind of what it took to produce them, and yes, the audience and the objectives, but linked to the objectives like what you're doing to promote the videos, or you know, once they're there, who's watching them, how do you get people to watch them, and what do you want them to do? Just be informed, or to do specific things?
Sure. I'll just answer your question quickly. I think for me the difference is that Jessie's video has more of a journalistic verite feel, where you're really following the family, just kind of documenting what they're doing on a daily basis. Whereas that opening shot of ours where they're doing the Mendi, that's something that I wasn't on the shoot in India, but was probably staged several times, where they would say, do this activity and we're going to do this pan. It just feels more cinematic. You know, we did a full color correct on it, the music again. Just, you know, very different as far as how we went about both shooting and editing it.
I'm looking at the number of views on this child marriage video just to talk about how we get it out there. I mean, we use YouTube as our primary sort of distribution channel. Thank you. But we have another distribution channel which is directly to journalists, which is we have these distribution pages where I don't know how relevant this is for you guys, but basically we also provide raw footage. So we're providing like a reel to journalists so that they can do their own piece.
Well, that was very much what Emma was talking about,
Yeah.
as being a news distribution service for your issue.
So there's the sort of finished product distribution channel, which is primarily YouTube and our website, and then there's the sort of raw material that we're pushing out with the press release, with the report, so that they can build their own piece, and we encourage them to do their own interviews as well. Yeah, but this is one of the Yemen videos are one of our most watched videos, and it got picked up by Reddit and Upworthy, which was very helpful as well.
Yeah, Human Rights Watch has tremendous success with YouTube. You know, their videos go viral, which is pretty unusual for some of them.
We've only really had one that we can call viral, but we'll talk about it. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what you're.
Yeah, but you consistently get.
We consistently do have in the tens of thousands, and more we have in the hundreds of thousands. So I think that's pretty good.
Most people would consider that extremely high numbers for a foundation or for a
Yeah.
nonprofit. So I'm curious to know your one that you do consider viral. How many
I
was
want to
that?
show it to you. It's it's a 5. Is it 5.5? It's more than 5.5 million, I think, or is it more than 4.5 million?
I think it's more than 5.5 million. Yeah. Our videos are usually made for more specific audiences. So, for example, we made this entirely for CGI and then posted it on Vimeo and YouTube afterwards in case people wanted to watch it. But really, our audiences are rather specific. We are trying to get better at distribution of our videos. My colleagues here helping with that. But usually we are not aiming for the broad audience. You know, if my mom posts on Facebook, that's great, but that's not our primary target. Sorry, Mom. So we'll move on to our next tip. Authenticity. So we're going to show 2 video clips where we let the person tell their own story instead of engaging as intermediaries. So I think Jessie's up first.
Yeah, I really wanted to do that. When I first got to Human Rights Watch, actually, this is more of what I did. I was like, well, you know, you guys are really good at writing these big reports and you're very lawyerly, but like, let's just hear directly from people, even without any exposition from the Human Rights Watch researcher. Now, I find that we need the exposition. We need the exposition because it's actually what we add is this human rights framework, right? So we're, but you know, as much as possible, if we can get access to people who can tell their stories, you know, they often understand the human rights issue in a certain way. So here's one where I think the people on the ground did a good job of explaining things. So this piece also had in the hundreds of thousands of views, and it's and actually in New York State there was some legislation passed on this, and she looked at this in several cities. We were able to just go to Queens and find a great corner where we were able to cover the story. The report looked at. She's been looking at this issue. The researcher Megan McLemore is wonderful, also in DC and in California and in New Orleans. So, but there's been movement in all those places on this issue, and
So the video that I'm going to show had the potential to be really boring. It's about some great work that we do that is a little bit hard to make sexy. The story is about us investing in a venture capital fund that invests in companies that serve the underbanked, which is, you know, all the financial services stuff is a little hard to portray visually. So we decided to animate it. We did a radio edit, and we started with the story of a person who's actually being served by the grantee.
And it's sexy that wings for right. Okay. Say you need to buy a car.
My name is Marita Rodriguez. I have my son, Asper, and he is 3 years old. I didn't have a car. I was like driving in the bus, asking for a ride. Sometimes I couldn't go to my work. They told me, okay, next time you do that, maybe you're going to far.
Now, if you have good credit, getting an auto loan isn't a problem. But if you don't have any credit history, your options aren't great. Many people turn to payday lenders. These practices are often predatory.
I am Jessie Graham.
Progressive Financiero is a mission-driven company that provides affordable and credit-building loans.
We estimate that there are about 23 million Hispanic individuals who do not have a credit score or have very, very limited credit history. We provide loans that are usually between 7 and 30 months.
So I think that this story kind of tanks without the voice of Marissa at the beginning, and we bring her back at the end. If you just launch into the, loans between 7 and 30 months, you lose people. And I think that's really important for web video, is that you have authentic voices telling their own stories. And that can be challenging for foundations because we are a few levels removed from the end user. So whenever possible, we try to bring that voice into the story and have them tell their own stories.
Moving on, or do you guys have any questions? Okay.
So this is kind of a jargony tip, competitive advantage, but basically what we want to say is, what are you and your organization bringing to this specific issue that nobody else is? We all work on issues that many other people work on, and what is your video doing that is unique to you and your organization?
Yeah, this video, actually when we were putting it out around the Sochi Olympics, or it was 2 weeks before the Sochi Olympics, I believe, one of our Europe directors said, well, we know this story because it had been all over the European media about vigilante groups videotaping and then posting these attacks on gay men all over Russia. And he said, well, that's not news, so I don't know who's going to cover this. I don't know. Nobody's going to watch your video. And we thought we were putting it in our framework. These videos were out there. They're disgusting. This is horrible to watch, so we're only going to look at a little bit of it. We thought we needed to say something about this, and that we could put it in the framework of the law, the very discriminatory anti-LGBT law that had been passed in Russia. So go ahead. Thanks.
Human Rights Watch has documented a large number of vicious attacks and aggressive harassment of LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in Russia. It's happening in the context of the homophobia legislation that bans propaganda of non-traditional sexual relationships among minors. A vigilante group, Occupy Pedophilia, essentially uses the pretext of protecting children of violent pedophilia to harass and attack youth. They invite them for a fake date, and they proceed to berate them for their homosexuality, and in many cases to abuse them physically. They film all these proceedings and then post them on social networks on YouTube to accumulate the victims further. What we see in these videos are criminal offenses happening in the context of conflict impunity.
Wow, it is really a lot of those images. And I'm actually working on another video about this, not about the vigilante groups and the videos, but just about the effects of the law. And we're not showing any violence in the video. And the editor I'm working with yesterday said, I can't look at another. And I'm sorry, it's a lot. But we felt it was important to show it because it is so incredibly, it's all there. All the evidence is there. And that's been a sort of a terrifying boon for us recently, because a lot of perpetrators are videotaping their crimes. It's happened with in Syria. It's happened, not just ISIS, but we've done, other militia groups in Syria have done that, and they're providing all the evidence of their abuse. So we have to, that's part of what we're doing. That's part of what we're collecting. And the researcher who worked on this had been collecting. That's the opportunity here, which we'd been collecting these videos for 6 months, and we'd been I had like nightmares about them. I mean, we were just kind of downloading them and storing them away because we knew they might be removed, and then we realized around Sochi that we just had to say something about this. So, and this is the viral video. It's had we did put that warning on, and I think it's up to 4 It's up to 4 something now. I don't think it's at 5. So yeah.
But actually,
oh,
let's
yeah,
go
you wanted
back
to look
one
at
one
the-
slide.
yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting for me because down in the lower right-hand corner, you can't really
Can't really
see.
it. Yeah.
But it's some other media. Is it CNN? It's
Yeah, it's in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Something in the hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands.
it's another major media outlet that just
Covering the same
repurposed
story.
the same videos, but the way that Human Rights Watch did it and the context they brought to it, that's the difference between a 4.5 million view video and a 10,000 view video.
Yeah, I do think this. I think this brought this issue to an American audience in a way that it maybe hadn't been reaching an American audience. I can't really say that there's been great impact from this video. So that's very disappointing. But we're the researcher has continued to look at violence in many different ways, just not just on video in the past year. So.
Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Again, for both of you, it used to be that we said short form video of any sort is great, but who sees it? That used to be the question even a few years ago. And now with YouTube, there are all these platforms. How do you push these things into YouTube? So how do you build readership or build viewership? I know through social networks. I mean, could you talk a little bit about that? Because there's a lot of great stuff that doesn't have that many hits.
Yeah.
And how do you get it to the point where you could really make it, let's not even use the term viral because that sounds so huge, but how do you get to a lot of people view it? I often
Or the right people.
Or the right people, yeah.
With this, I think it was really a bit of a fluke on timing with the Sochi Olympics, and the content is unfortunately, I think, because it's certainly sensational, But certainly relationships with Upworthy has been really helpful for certain things like the child marriage video, Reddit, looking at those, those sort of like the clickbait, right? The clickbait. People are very helpful for us sometimes, and if it's the right video at the right time, there's a bit of luck involved.
So when you post a video, do you put out a press release at the same time?
Yes, I mean we have a built-in.
Coordinated.
We have a sort of. I think we have a unique sort of built-in network where I'm relying really on the researchers to be the PR people for their work. And so if they have a good network and they know and they're tweeting and they're pushing it out in every direction through all their networks, then that's where we really start to see. And I have to push them. We released a great video on Turkmenistan the other day, and it only has 1,400 views. And I've got to go back to them and I say, look, we worked hard on this video. Let's go back to your people, go back to all the people who are working on political prisoners in Turkmenistan, and let's find another way to launch this again. Let's keep finding news hooks if there are any. So it's a matter of really using the network that we have, and then whoever you guys, who are you connected to? Who do you know who's interested in this issue? Bloggers. So basically everything we release, we have sort of an impact plan and a distribution plan. But as I said, some are more successful than others.
We do a lot of targeted outreach as well. We don't have the YouTube subscriber base that Human Rights Watch has, and our videos will not appear on Reddit probably. But what we will do is really try to do targeted blog and journalist outreach, as well as send e-blasts out to our grantees. For example, we had a video that went live recently about Sheila Hicks, the textile artist who just did a couple pieces, redid a couple pieces for our building. And there is a small but very dedicated textile art community that go to 1 or 2 websites. So if you, exactly. So we got one of these to post the video on their Facebook page, and we reached the community that we wanted to reach through that.
Also, if you do happen to hit a viral video, that is what helps you build subscribers. So this video, I'm not sure what the bump was, but it was significant, and we kept on. So you use that opportunity as well to show other videos that are from the region. We had another piece that was on Kyrgyzstan, not as interesting to many people, about police abuse of LGBT people in Kyrgyzstan, which now has several 100,000 views because people would watch this and then watch that. So you have to kind of really use that opportunity of people coming to the site.
Before you go to I think I recall when you presented in Philadelphia
a discussion of reusing or voicing. If something didn't hit the first time, thinking about a different way of presenting it and redoing it a different campaign, or just because it didn't get originally a lot of views, that there's some other things that you could do. Did you talk about that before?
I mean, these videos are really multi-purpose for us. You know, we're trying to reach, in some cases, we're really trying to reach lawmakers directly, but generally, we're really looking for a big audience to maximize, you know, the views. But very often, you know, these researchers have a very specific advocacy goals, and they have events throughout the year, and so they'll be showing it at a UN side event, or they'll be, you know, so there's so many ways that they can use it over time. And yes, once in a while we'll have a bump in views of a video like 6 months later because we've already launched it or tweeted it or something.
Do you ever worry, especially with such sensationalist content, about the content being used for the opposite purposes
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
intend?
I mean, I feel really sensitive. I was really, you know, anytime we're dealing with, I mean, I think there's a certain amount of viewers who are viewing this for their pleasure, and that's you know, that's really disturbing. But I don't think there's any way you can avoid that. So, I mean, maybe, you know, yeah, no, we don't at this point. We have this warning, and you know, this is controversial, this video within the organization, and I welcome discussion about it. Yeah. Sorry. Probably not. Oh, for that.
It's a nuts and bolts question. So I end up being like the only person making the videos at our foundation, but we're a pretty small outfit. And so, you know, I'm kind of like splitting myself into like 10 roles. So I was wondering, I guess in either organization, what the workflow is like. Do you know, how many people usually would work on a video at this length? How long would it take? And then as producers, what does that mean that you do?
Okay, yeah. This video was like cheap and easy in a lot of ways, right? Because I mean, definitely one person could put this together, or, you know, a shooter and a producer. We had a really good editor too. This was me and a kind of jack of all trades producer editor that I work with, collaborating with the researcher and collecting these videos over time. So we were pulling in the content for a while, and then it was produced in a week. I mean, maybe.
Like normal software.
Oh yeah, we use Premiere. Now we were using Final Cut maybe then. But so it's just, you know, we do the shooting in house. We are kind of like we're a small team for the size of our organization, and it's kind of, I think you could do a video like this easily if you have like decent, you know, all we did was shoot the interview with the researcher and and these two activists had like come in the months before. We grabbed them when they were in town. So there was no travel involved. It was like they were in our office and we're like, oh, can we talk to you about this? So so it's seizing those opportunities, I guess. I don't know if that's helpful, but you know.
You kind of do like run and gun, like you don't really outline it before.
I don't like storyboard. I don't storyboard. I don't do any. I work totally the way I did as a journalist, and I actually have a lot of trouble working the way that we've worked together. And like, I think she brings a whole other sort of more. That's, I guess, what we're talking about, more highly produced stuff, where you're kind of constructing the story from the beginning. My boss actually encourage us to kind of merge those styles too. Think about, well, we have to kind of in some ways, but with something like this, you know, it just came together because we needed it quickly, and yeah.
The footage is already there by and large, which is
that's again the perpetrators making lots of footage available to us.
I'm the multimedia producer, and it's a team of me and Eric, who is our part-time in-house video editor and shooter. So with some videos, it's just the two of us working on them, such as the Darren video that we'll show a little bit later. For others, I hire local crews, or I'll travel and, you know, hire a shooter who can travel with me. It really depends on kind of the scale and size of the project. But as Jessie mentioned, I do start from not a storyboarding place, but a scripting place, even for documentary content, where I say, what's the story that we want to tell? Who are going to be the characters? what generally do I want them to say, and then I will use that going into the interviews and shooting. And then if great verite scenes, I mean,
you
it's,
do the same
it's kind of
thing.
the same process in that way. Yeah. And then if great verite footage arises, you use that. But I think it's an essential step instead of just showing up and being like, let's make a video.
The limited experience I have with video, you cannot just like put a video thing on somebody and expect to get. You really have to prepare and like have them, the people that you're talking to are going to be shooting in action, like explain to them what you're looking for so that they can prepare themselves. I mean,
Yeah. Oh.
I'm really curious. There's no faster way to lose faith in humanity than to read the comments on a YouTube page. Do you look at comments? Do you try to curate a conversation, or do you just kind of wash your hands of the whole thing once it's up?
In that way, we do. I mean, I certainly, we're not, from the production side, in a way, we're a bit divorced from the, like, I do pitch stuff, but like from there, like I have to like move on to the next video. So like my team is kind of like usually like just moving on. It's a really big question for our organization. I mean, we've talked about opening up comments on the website. It never happened. It's a way that we kind of don't know how to engage, to tell the truth. We're doing it on Twitter, and I think that's a great way to do it, and an intelligent way to do it. We do it on our Facebook page, but to some degree. But we don't fully moderate those comments. We don't, there's a lot of crap out there, and I don't know that we've come up with I don't know if anyone's come up with exactly how to deal with that, right? I don't know if we fully take advantage of those conversations in our web. I think our web people are really trying to harness more and more intelligent conversations. But on YouTube, I don't think we've found a way. I don't know. Yeah.
This seems to be a place where we can ask relatively stupid questions. Let me ask another one. So much of what I end up doing on the web is, if you like this, you might want to look at this, and I can waste an embarrassing number of hours doing that. Is that based on an algorithm? Like, if somebody finds this of yours, is that based on an algorithm, and is there any way to impact it, or how does it happen that I'm led to 10 videos on whatever the subject is that I initially searched for?
On YouTube? Actually, it's a shame that Ben isn't here for
here,
this.
yeah.
When we presented in Philadelphia at the Communications Network conference, we were joined by Ben Rellis, who is at YouTube, and he had a lot of like insidery YouTube algorithm type things to talk about. But yeah, there is a very specific algorithm for maybe you should watch these videos next that is tailored to you through all sorts of data that's being collected. It's their proprietary algorithm. I think it is based on how many views the videos have, or how related, or if it's part of a series.
is there anything with tagging your videos?
Yeah, always tag. Yeah.
But here, I think our Kyrgyzstan video comes up, and then it's related videos that are related to this issue. There's a way that you can set up your channel so that your playlist propagates. I think, I'm not sure on the side. So there are ways that you can sort of modify your YouTube channel. But yeah, it's their very mysterious algorithm.
And it's definitely an argument in favor of doing more serialized content, because if somebody watches episode number 5 in your series, they'll go back and watch 1 through 4.
Yeah, that's what he was saying, which didn't make sense to, like, we've never really, Ben was really talking about these like super, creator YouTube creators who are what are they called? Stars, well, YouTube stars, and they're usually episodic kind of programs. None of them are about human rights. So.
Well, I mean, even if they weren't necessarily completely tied, they were framed as being part of a series.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of them actually really are very formulaic, very sort of are serial. Sorry, you want to?
No, I think naming your video in a strategic way is like one big step you can take. Using key terms that people might search for, or that whatever the algorithm is might identify, certain terms of art that would be familiar in your area. And of course, tagging, as you guys say, you know what tags are? Okay, so tagging with similar things. And then I would say also YouTube learns about every user's habits, so it attempts to match it's sort of something you can't do anything about. They learn, what the user likes, and in that way guide people to your videos. Yeah, exactly. So the best thing is to just try to lure people in with sets of habits that, would wish to see your video.
Should we go on to the next? Great, okay. Okay, so this is a short documentary we did to announce our official entrance into the LGBT funding space. This won a People's Voice Webby for Short Doc, and I guess let's watch it and I'll talk about it after.
Is really small. I grew up here. I was about a kid. There's just one main street that goes to town. There's one street. I didn't even know that there was LGBTQ trials.
Asked me and I got a coffee table and decided to rest that. And she said to me, Mom, I promise you one day, man. And then she said to me, I think I'm playing the wrong body. And I really wanted to transition to the more. I come to this work as a straight person. It's not on queer people to fix this. It's on straight people to do the work of transforming themselves and transforming institutions so that we are more welcome and more inclusive.
So there's a ton of great LGBT video content on YouTube. It's really become a space for LGBT content to flourish, from It Gets Better videos to people who are documenting their transitions. And so when we approached this issue, we really needed to think about what can we as the Ford Foundation bring to this issue. And we don't do kind of like the hard-hitting advocacy journalistic work that Jessie does. And so sometimes it's difficult for us to think about, why are we making this video instead of our grantee? Our grantees can often say it better than we can. And so for this video, we thought that our competitive advantage was really to harness the breadth of organizations that we fund. And we were able to go to SAGE and GSA Network and all of these state organizations and say, can you help us find a diverse group of voices that represent the face of the American LGBT community? And I think that's something that organizations that aren't as large maybe would have had a problem doing. It would have been difficult. So I think that was our competitive advantage for this one. And our last tip is risk. I think if I said nonprofit video, everyone kind of has an idea of what that looks like roughly in your brain. And so we just want to urge people to break away from the template that, especially in the early web video days, was developed for what nonprofit video looked like. So we're going to show two examples that break the mold a little bit.
Here's one we did together. So we can just play it.
Children, it's perfectly legal under U.S. law for kids young as 12, and sometimes young to work on commercial farms. So the fruits and veggies you eat could have been picked by kids. U.S. child labor laws don't apply to agriculture. So young children are working long hours and doing dangerous work on commercial farms. A third of all child farm workers don't graduate from high school. But there is a bill that would regulate child labor in agriculture. So that
play with it too. Instead of saying
Elder Collins purpose to support the care act and protect child farm workers. I said we did that together, but it was totally MacKenzie. It was like completely. I mean, this is for me. It's like, you know, I guess that's a really important thing. Like you were saying, you're a one-man band, and it's. I find it. I love working small and like kind of doing what I do best, which is, you know, journalistic stuff. But when it comes to things like this, it's not my thing. I've never done stop motion. I didn't. I've worked with someone who brings ideas and I know what I don't have experience with. And so I love collaborating with people who are gonna look at things in a completely different way. We really needed that for this because this is a perennial issue. This is something where we can't say, I mean, there's not strong impact here because it still hasn't been passed. But for even to have people even think about this and talk about this because it has been around for so long is huge. And we really got conversations going about this, and we revived the issue, and we got some good coverage. And so, you know, there was something else that MacKenzie did, this video, New Yorkers on we called it New Yorkers for 9/11 Justice, another failed in terms of, you know, we wanted to get the trial in New York. That did not happen. The 9/11 trial. But we really got people to talk about it for a while, and we got, you know, so on things like that where we're really, you know, especially counterterrorism issues, which are so difficult for us to continue a conversation on something like this, a perennial issue in the U.S. Congress. It's great to be able to approach it in a different way and start a conversation, get bloggers talking about it, get a different audience, and mobilize people in a different way.
And for this, we brought on a stop-motion animator who mainly does commercial work, and there are many great organizations, production companies that pitch themselves exclusively to nonprofits. Many of them do really great work, but I would also really urge you to not only work with people who only work with nonprofits. You know, the videos that you were all talking about really liking, especially ones that aren't issue-y or nonprofit-y, reach out to those people. You would be surprised how many people who do commercial work would be willing to do something for less than their normal paycheck if it's a cause that they believe in, and they bring new ideas, fresh ideas to the nonprofit and foundation sector.
It wasn't that expensive, though.
It wasn't.
I mean, you did on a little budget.
Yeah, we just went to like the bodega and got fruit, and then did it.
We used our colleague's child was we paid her.
It was child labor.
It was child labor.
We just funded Food Chains, which is a terrific film on this. But the additive value of these projects is what's really exciting to me, because we tend to think of one vehicle, whether it's a short-form doc or a long-form doc, and you used the term a few minutes ago about getting some movement. What did you say? I thought it was very well done. You know, getting some movement on the issue. And it's the additive quality. I mean, I can see using this with a similar audience for Food Chain, and combined with really large format photography in public places. And that's the kind of thing we're kind of moving towards. And if you look at the slickness of this, and I use that term in the best sense of the word, the slickness of this is so visually shocking in a good way compared to a long form doc, that it's really the combination of these various vehicles that I think are really exciting.
That's a great point, because actually this was released along with a longer format documentary.
Yeah, we did one anyway.
Yeah, but I think that's a great point, that, you know, somebody who watches this video may not want to watch the 8-minute mini doc, and vice versa.
Child farm workers in other videos. And we've done actually one of the videos that's been most successful in the past year has been about child tobacco workers in the South. And that actually, just a quick thing on that. Samantha Bee actually did her own of The Daily Show. The Daily Show's like fake reporters went and did her own piece on it. So sometimes that's really like, okay, I don't know. I actually don't know what the impact has been on that so far in terms of the legislation. But the conversation really got going again on an issue that's been around for some time. But yeah, to see Samantha, if you don't know Samantha Bee, I mean, much a coup to get. So that was the first. So sometimes our videos are actually getting us more coverage, and that's really important for us.
I found it really, when I was watching the veggies video, initially kind of incongruous that you were talking about a very serious and difficult issue with this very upbeat, fun thing. And I'm thinking, oh, that's so weird. And then, but it makes you feel very hopeful. And then you get to a point where you say that there's something you can do. You can there's this legislation happening, and So for me, it like queued up a feeling like, oh, happy, hopeful, and then there's this action that you can take. Was that something that you did consciously?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I freelanced for Human Rights Watch, we talked about all the time how we just made like all these depressing videos because the subject matter is really depressing. So when you do, and you know, it's important, and it's how you should present, you know, depressing, important issues. But if you're a viewer, you reach a limit as far as how many of those you can or want to watch in a row. So whenever there is a way to present challenging content in a way that's more accessible, I think you should take it.
Yeah, I mean, we have different, you know, as I said, we're really trying to integrate video storytelling into the research, right? So sometimes we need to present it in this sort of cut and dry way, along with the reports very often. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're providing this sort of wire service. But when there's an opportunity like this, where there's where there's something you can do, when you can, then we try to seize that. You know, we're not a campaign group, so it's interesting for us to like try to seize those opportunities. And so I'd just say really the outside collaborators, any way you can, really bring new people and new ideas into the mix is just, for me, it's really exciting and productive.
How do you find those outside collaborators? How do you find a good videographer if you want to do a stop motion thing? How do you find somebody to do that?
I mean, I think that you find them by watching videos and finding videos that you like. And then reaching out to those people directly. I mean, we obviously have built-in networks because we've been doing this for a while, but you know, oftentimes I'll watch a video by somebody I've never heard of and be like, I want to work with this person. I'm going to contact them.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying, someone said you called up the organization whose videos you like and said, how'd you do those? I mean, I think that's great. I think it's great. And some of the things you guys are talking about that you love are not high cost, but they're high concept. So you have to, it's getting the right idea person, really, you know.
Yeah, that is something that I would say as well, that having somebody in the role that Jessie and I are in, somebody with communications thinking who can really think about strategically what the objective is and how can we script this is important when you do bring in outside collaborators. Having that institutional and issue knowledge is key. And then bring in someone with great creative chops.
But you can learn it even if you don't. I don't think, I mean, I know not everyone can afford to have that, or maybe it's not a priority. I think we were just talking about this, like, as long as someone has some storytelling, some background in storytelling, or, I don't know, it's not rocket science. You can learn this stuff.
You can hire the technicians.
And you can know, yeah, like you can figure out who's strong to work with. I mean, I'd love everybody to have their own multimedia producer, but I don't know if that's possible.
We'll close it out with our final example, which is the video that Deb referenced
we're talking about
earlier.
Before, yeah,
so
it's really fun.
Maybe some of you have seen it, but we'll just roll it.
So this video came about when Darren was asked to say a few words at Ballet Hispanico's gala, and he couldn't be there in person. And Darren goes to a lot of galas, and he was like, I just do not want to do one of those 3-minute thank you so much talking head videos where everybody goes to sleep in the middle of this reception. So he was very open to taking risks as far as what this video could be. And my favorite Christmas movie, and I hope some of yours, is Pee-wee's Christmas Special, which features a scene in which Pee-wee shows Little Richard how to ice skate. And it's a body double scene, an elaborate body double scene. Everyone should watch it for the holidays. And so we brought in a body double from Ballet Hispanico. And, you know, for a new president who was only 6 months in, this is sort of a considerable risk to take, but he was willing to go along with it. And it's paid huge dividends. It's sort of become his calling card. Whenever he does an appearance, people mention the Ballet Hispanico video, and a lot of people think that it's actually him dancing.
Really?
But
Yes,
I
a
asked,
lot of people.
I asked MacKenzie, I said, you know, you must have, I was like, oh, you must have worked with a great director and shooter to do this. And, you know, so they thought
It was me and
it was
Eric.
these
That's
two.
actually Eric's shoulder in some of those scenes.
So I think it's, you know, that's a really beautifully produced piece and really smart. You know, I would never have thought of it.
Everything I know I learned from Pee-wee.
That's great. I want to bring more Pee-wee to Human Rights Watch. I have to figure out ways.
So we have some resources to share. These actually come from Ben at YouTube. Yeah. So, yeah, but YouTube does have a nonprofit page, and they do, you know, they want people who produce content to succeed on the YouTube platform. So you can go to their playbook and learn all their tips for, yeah.
So don't worry about not being able to see it, because one, so at the beginning of this I said I would think over the next hour about how to get information from you about the videos that you really love. So I will, everybody who is registered for this program, I will email you this PowerPoint presentation, and I will, in that email, ask you to send me your videos. This presentation, even if you never get an email from me, but you will, even if you didn't, this will be on our website too. So you can go to the event page for this program, and it will be posted on the past resources page. Sorry, did I cut somebody off?
But I was going to say, one thing that might be useful to those of you who maybe are new to video or who want to check it out is the creator space in New York, YouTube creator space. I'm not really sure exactly what.
I think you have to have a minimum number of subscribers. Yes, but once you reach that, no?
I think that's for nonprofits.
Oh, great.
They would be flexible on it. So
That's
I don't
great
know.
news.
It's something that might be worth exploring. I think they have a nice studio. I don't know. I think
what is this
it's
exactly?
YouTube creator
So
space.
at the
I mean,
end-
you just look up creator space in New York.
They have studio spaces in several key cities, so that, yeah, LA, I think San Francisco, and here, so that people who you know, meet their requirements can come and use their space, use their equipment to enhance the production values, because they are really invested in kind of professionalizing YouTube
Is
content.
it just space, or do they have people on staff?
I think it's like advisory. I don't think that they provide like the camera person, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be worth checking. We're gonna look at it.
So-
Witness. I mean, you guys probably know Witness, but you know they're guys to.
I don't know anything about Witness.
No. Witness has yeah. I mean, they are also in the business of. They're really their focus is using video to document human rights abuses and using like you know, similar to some of your work, using citizen journal. They kind of citizen journalists, regular people to document what's happening around them. And they do a lot of training. So they have a lot of instructional videos about video.
Video on video. It's very meta. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say if there were any.
I was going to say, we have 15 minutes left, so questions about resources, how to do things, ideas? Bob?
Yeah.
Some are small, some are large, but of course small
What are
for
the
you
numbers?
might mean 10,000 views, and the same applies for budgets. So can you talk through what you dedicate in a year to it to produce how many videos?
No, I don't know what I don't know offhand what our budget's been. It's really, really varied. So I'll tell you like something in-house, like something where we didn't have to go and do any shooting out of the office, like the Russia video. I mean, it's minimal, you know, but then you have to, it's me, you know, it's my salary and my boss's salary, and you know, there's the built-in costs. But in terms, maybe I'll hire a freelance editor. So I think at the minimum, a project will be like $3,000. It could be less, really, but so I tend to do a lot of really, because I'm used to working. I worked in public radio, so like I tend to work on the cheap. So you know, I'll get someone in the field, and a whole project will be between $5,000 and $10,000 for me, but we can do up to 20. But you know, then when we're adding in, it depends on the travel costs. It depends on where we're talking about. You know, if we're sending someone to Papua New Guinea, you know, and we're working with a videographer and a still photographer. I guess that would be the top kind of, and that would be like probably more in the 40s. I don't know if that's really, but I would say like 15,000 is usually like a good sort of average, probably.
I would say we're probably in the same range. I mean, something that we do just in-house, me and Eric, like, you know, for the Darren thing, we rented a teleprompter and that was it. So it's just, cool. Yeah, so it's just our labor. Yeah. But something like that animated video that I showed a clip from, you know, we did the scripting and audio recording in-house, but all of the animation and design was outsourced. So something like that could go up to $30,000 because you're paying a studio for all of their design and animation labor as well. But yeah, I would say that we're working in the same range. But you know, one thing that I do regret is that we don't have somebody who on this panel who does things with no budgets, because it can be done. And I hope that these tips can the tips can be applied to any budget range. It obviously helps if you have big budgets.
If you have a good camera, if you make an initial investment in a good camera with good sound, and you have Premiere or if you want to use Final Cut, we like Premiere now. I think hiring a good editor is like the best thing that you can do.
Let me just say this about that. So I've had various points in my career ideas that I or my staff would produce videos, and it seems like a great idea. There's like these Final Cut Pro. My husband's like, like a tech dork, and he's like, oh, you can just do this. It takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of learning, this steep learning curve. And the last time we produced a video here at Philanthropy, New York, I was just like, $8,000, I'm hiring somebody that get it done, and it was 10 times better than anything I ever could have done, and it saved me a lot of time. So
you probably had a lot more fun doing it.
Yeah, because I just basically scripted it out I said, this is what I want to do, this is the ideas that I want to get across, and this is what I want as an end product. And I knew the right person, what I thought was the right person, and was the right person. So.
Another.
Yeah, I mean, editors.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it's a lifesaver. That's how I work. I'm not a technical. I'm never going to be. I was not a sound engineer when I was a radio reporter. I was a reporter. I was out in the field. So I'm not ever going to have those skills, and those are the skills that really, you can get a sense of storytelling. You know what you want to say. Hopefully, you can really have people around you who can help you with that also, to make sure you're right about what you want to say and how you want to say it. And then, but to have someone who's a good editor, that's magic, really. And so that's the thing I would really recommend investing in.
Definitely. And another kind of way to do something on the cheap is something that Human Rights Watch does a lot, which is audio slideshows. So if you don't anymore? Oh,
that's really interesting. When I first came in, that was kind of like 6 years ago, that was kind of trendy to do. That was multimedia, with like audio and stills, and they really wanted me to do that. And I did a lot of it, but I actually am converted, I've converted to video.
You don't
is just
see them
more,
as
it's
much
much
anymore.
more.
You don't, but the overhead is way lower. If you have great photography and get a good interview, I'll watch those.
Yeah,
Other questions? Yes.
So you're a lot of the work that you're doing at Human Rights Watch, the material's coming from all over the world, and presumably you're working with different crews.
Yeah.
What steps do you take to ensure that you're kind of meeting the same standards across projects and maintaining a coherent voice?
Great question. Well, I do work with the same shooters. I do build relationships. We build a network of shooters around the world. So in certain places, we're going back to people now more and more. But it's having a lot of conversations before they go out. The way we work with the researchers in the field helps us kind of have that quality control. They're acting as a producer. The difficulty is that they're not producers and they don't know the visual language. So I train them a lot. We train them. And I work with them year after year. Like every year when everybody comes into town, we talk about, we talk about visual storytelling. And it's hard. It's hard. So it's actually getting them to understand what the standards are and what they need to tell a story is that's what we're really building into the organization. So that they can work with the shooter and the shooter can teach them. The shooter, the best thing is that I work with a great shooter and they'll really collaborate in the field and they'll learn from each other, and that's the best way. But it's actually really hard. I find it really hard to find shooters, videographers who can really tell a story visually. I don't know if I can explain it so well, but to really bring us somewhere. A lot of times somebody's just going to do an interview and they'll get B-roll, which is just generic kind of, we are here, this is where we are. But actually to tell a story, to take me somewhere, to take me from, there's one piece we did. There's a few pieces where, that, maybe the condoms one, right? You get a little bit of a sense. But even there wasn't really that much sequencing. I want someone to take me somewhere and show me something. I want something to be happening. So that's the challenge, is to try to think of ways to do that. Now, sometimes really, there's no way for us to really visualize the abuse. Someone just needs to tell us the story, and we need to sort of figure out how to frame it. So it's challenging. I don't know if that answered the question, but it is really, really, really hard to find people who are technically good shooters and also good storytellers, I find. I don't know.
I think that one of the challenges that foundation and nonprofit communicators deal with is making the case to upper level people about the need to choose one emblematic idea or story to represent a whole big research report or something like that. How do you deal with picking the one little nugget to represent in a short video when you're trying to get attention for a larger set of ideas?
Yeah, I think that the cardinal rule is that, not all stories make good video, and so it has to be visual. If you can't find a way in, then that is not something that should be conveyed via video. It's something that should be read in a report or a blog post, something like that. But yes, I often encounter where people are like, well, let's throw in this interview, and let's interview this person, let's tell this story, and you just have to do that work where it's like, you got 3 minutes, maybe 4. You want to focus in on the one story that is visual and is going to have impact, and then link out to the rest of the report.
But I would say I actually have learned a lot. My boss, Pierre Barron, is my boss. He used to work at CNN, and he was Christian Amanpour's producer for years. He's pretty amazing, and he doesn't actually let a lack of images stop him from trying to tell a story, and he's really encouraged me not to shut things down. I actually find it really interesting. Sometimes I'll just be like, we have no images, we can't, and he'll be like, well, we're gonna find a way. And so, we did a total you do some talking heads videos that are fine, so if you find a great way to tell a story about an idea, like the loan video, so it's not impossible. And but I guess one more thing I want to add to what MacKenzie said, and this is really true from working in radio, it's the emotional power of the story. So people will come to me and they'll be like, I have this person who's completely emblematic of this human rights issue. Their life has been violated in this way, this way, this way, and this way, and they've this and this. And this is absolutely the emblematic story from our report. And I'd be like, is the person a good talker, and do they want to tell their story? And no, sometimes no. Actually, they don't know how to, they don't really, there's no emotional power. And if there's no emotional power, then we have no story. just someone reciting the horrible details of what happened to them is not going to be compelling, and in fact, it's going to be repelling probably. So it's a real challenge to get the information in there and then also get what is human and Fagan. And it's not going to necessarily be happy, putting happy. I love your pieces that are success stories. This is about people who are solving problems. We're stuck with, showing the problems and telling what should be done, saying what should be done. More and more, I'm trying to find ways that we can do both. Like we're doing this story about FGM right now, and I'm hearing from women who, women who say that they're done. They're not going to, have their daughters cut, or men or imams who are speaking out against this. So there's a positive. The sort of force of change on the ground gives some hope and shows a solution that we're trying to put forward. So
To Jessie's point about the need for a good spokesperson, I think that not a good, but somebody who can tell their story with an emotional type pull. Yeah.
the spokesperson, I think of as
Right. No, but somebody, a face for the issue in this video. I think that people are really video happy, which is a good thing for us. But also, it's also our job to tell people that not everything needs to be a video, and that if it's not there, don't make the video. Put your money elsewhere.
I used to do that more than I do it now, and I'm kind of, It's great. The thing is, if you do build the resources within your organization, it's refreshing to be able to say yes. To be able to be like, okay, well, we'll figure out a way to tell this story because we'll call MacKenzie and she'll help us, or so. But there's some things that just really should be a PowerPoint presentation, and I tell people that all the time. I'm like, make a PowerPoint presentation. They're great. Not this one.
Well, we are at 10:45, which is our end point. So I want to thank you so much for presenting these ideas, and all of you for bringing your ideas. And as I said, I will send everyone the PowerPoint stuff. And if you have any questions of MacKenzie or Jessie, feel free to stick around and talk to them. And we can continue talking through email if you have questions, and check out the resources. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.